joining us now, the host of Fox Business Kudlow Show, Larry Kudlow. Larry, we love having you on. Larry, this is disturbing. Inflation is now double digits, topping 10% in 7 U.S. cities. How do you stop it?
Well, you're going to have to stop it by tightening up on monetary policy. The Fed's going to have to raise their target rate above the inflation rate, and they're going to have to start taking cash out of the economy. I mean, inflation tops 10% in 7 cities, but basically it's above 10% everywhere. I mean, producer prices are 11%. So you got a big problem here. And Liz, can I just say something from the earlier report coming from the Middle East? Joe Biden put an Iranian deal on the table with Iran. And part of that deal is reportedly $1 trillion in cash to Iran. I just want to put that in because it hasn't gotten enough exposure. Biden said it as a throwaway at his news conference today. And I think that is the biggest story out there today.
Wait a minute. He said $1 trillion?
Yes.
Was that a mistake? Was that a gaffe?
Yeah. No, he didn't say it. Analysts who are aware of the deal, Liz, are saying it. I think it starts out with $250 billion and another something like $800 billion over the next 5 years. It is a national disgrace.
So we'll stay on that story, Larry. That's important that you just brought that up. You know, Larry, you've been talking about this, too. The White House is planting a flag on a really weak talking point that inflation will drop because gas is down just 40 cents. They want to raise taxes by $1 trillion, right, as the Fed raises interest rates. And to your point, food and rent and housing, health and tuition, those costs are soaring.
Yeah, you know, as I'm sure you know, look at these, these latest inflation reports. The 1 month and the 3 month numbers are bigger than the 12-month numbers. So I think inflation, and it's core inflation, Lizzie, it's not just energy. So I think, inflation is becoming very, very embedded into the economy, and it's going to make it harder. But look at these ideas about, having $1 trillion in spending and $1 trillion in tax hikes, $400 billion in higher taxes on small business, right? On pass-through, subchapter S. Can you imagine anything stupider than that? Honestly.
I just, it's mind-boggling. And we're going to get into the next segment about how you reported this, about how there's nobody, and they have no business experience in the White House, and they're running the world's biggest economy. Larry, here's the thing. The White House top spin on inflation is just as bad as it was with the top spin calling Afghanistan the botched exit a success. 9,000 Americans stranded, 30 troops killed. That was the beginning of the end for Biden's approval ratings. Let's watch this. Watch.
Today's inflation report confirmed what Americans already know. Putin's price hike is hitting America hard.
Oil companies,
shipping companies.
Republicans in Congress are doing everything they can to stop my plans to bring down costs.
Increases in prices are likely to have only transitory effects on inflation.
Transitory.
Inflation in the United States remains unacceptably high.
The United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan. The extraordinary success of this mission.
Operational and tactical success.
I would not say that is anything but a success. First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not.
We believe there are several thousand Americans in Afghanistan who would like to leave.
So, when you see that, right? It's top spin. Voter polls show Biden owns Afghanistan. He owns inflation. He's skating on thin ice with hot skates. The majority of people, they don't believe it. And Larry, let's talk about this. Reagan and Volcker. How did Reagan and Volcker stop what was going on in the U.S. economy back when we were dire straits in the early 80s?
Well, two things. One is when you deny something that is so apparent to everybody else in the country, who has to buy groceries, who has to buy energies, who has to pay rent, who has to go out and, try to take a vacation. If you deny that prices are skyrocketing, you lose all credibility, you lose all believability. And that's one of the reasons why Biden's polls have crashed. Now, with Reagan and Volcker, they took tough medicine, okay? Reagan said to Volcker, you do what you have to do. And Volcker, chopped down the money supply and boosted the value of the dollar. And meanwhile, Reagan took very constructive action. This is what's missing, Liz. Reagan cut taxes and Reagan deregulated. By the way, one of his first actions when he was inaugurated was he decontrolled the price of oil. He ended the Carter price controls. And guess what? Oil went down, not up. So what Biden won't do is take the tough actions, particularly on the fiscal side. And coming back to your earlier point, it is sheer insanity to think that spending $1 trillion on social spending and health spending and more Green New Deal spending and raising taxes on small businesses, pass-through type subchapter S businesses, as well as C Corps, raising taxes will merely deepen the recession. Social spending will merely exacerbate the inflation.
Yeah,
they have it exactly backwards.
Right. If they want to raise taxes right as their Fed is raising rates, that's a 1-2 punch to the economy. Senator Phil Gramm and Mike Solon have said this in the Wall Street Journal. When inflation last hit 9% in 1973, it stuck there for 8 years. And the only way to do it was to get supply-side economics and a stable dollar in place. And now you've got that, and we don't have that right now. We're veering off course here. But we've got now this. California's Governor Gavin Newsom and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, now they're talking about indicating they want to run in 2024. Newsom is at the White House while Biden's in Saudi Arabia walking in front of cameras. And, we've got reports that former President Trump has made a decision on running again. What are you hearing about that?
Well, I can't speak to Mr. Trump, but I don't know Pritzker. I know Gavin Newsom, or used to know him pretty. I knew him when he was a moderate Democratic mayor of San Francisco. I'm sure that Gavin enjoyed walking around the West Wing today while Biden wasn't there. It's kind of like a little practice run, Liz. You know what I mean? Just a little, kind of measure the curtains a little bit. Let's see if the desk chair is high enough.
Measuring the drapes,
I get
right.
A lot of I know, measuring the drapes. I think that's just a wonderful story. I can't speak to President Trump's plans. I read the same articles you have. I speak to him on a regular basis, but he does not ask my political advice, and I don't offer it either.
Just economic advice. All right, Larry Kudlow, it's always a pleasure having you on. Come back soon. We love having you on. And by the way, a very happy birthday. You had a birthday recently. I want a piece of that cake. Okay, Larry, it's good to see you.